at least 20 people are dead after Islamic extremists stormed a popular hotel in the nation's capital. An extremist group with ties to Al-Qaeda claimed responsibility for the attack. Former President Trump has a plan over that FBI search of his Florida estate. CBS's Dana Jacobson.
CBS News has learned that former President Trump's legal team is planning to ask the Florida judge to appoint an intermediary to review the government's documents that were seized by the FBI at Trump's Florida estate. Many of those documents were top secret. A federal judge has given the Department of Justice until next week to file version of the affidavit that it used to get approval for the search of Mar-a-Lago.
Netflix has a new documentary on tap about basketball.
It's a documentary on the 2008 U.S. men's basketball team, and it's Netflix's first collaboration with the committee. It will chronicle the team's bid for gold in the Beijing Games after a disappointing finish in the 2004 Olympics. The documentary will include behind-the-scenes footage and interviews from the players and coach Mike Krzyzewski. Kobe Bryant was captain of the 2008 team, which also included LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Jason Kidd, Chris Paul, and Carmelo Anthony, and will premiere on Netflix on October 7th. Linda Kenyon, CBS News.
The documentary is being produced by Wade and James at the CBS News.
If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Their end-to-end hiring system helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
The biannual blowout is just a week away, and we've got a lot of work to do.
Keenan's Drug Emporium is rolling out a Labor Day bonanza.
Have that flat beef shipment coming in.
He needs 10 new sales associates as the crowd looms large.
Someone run a stock check on all the Moroccan 8x10?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates on Indeed. Match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Investments involve high-degree risk and actual results may vary. Oil keeps going up. Hedge against inflation and the downturn in the stock market. Get in on the next major oil boom now and help make an investment that can potentially pay you monthly income for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you are an SEC-accredited investor, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's project. Call 1-800-278-7455. That's 1-800-278-7455.
High prices are driving people to unusual stores.
Grocery prices are up more than 13% over a year. It's driving more people to stores where products aren't quite perfect. The New York Times reports business is booming for retailers like Sharpshooter, Invented Can, and Stretch-A-Box, where boxes are crushed, package dates, mere suggestions, and cereal is still dyed red and green for Christmas. A food blogger in St. Paul, Minnesota says she paid $5 for 3 packages of baguettes that usually sell for about 7 apiece. Environmentally conscious shoppers opt for salvage stores to help reduce the $161 billion worth of food waste that winds up in landfills every year. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
Those group chats can be dicey. A prosecutor in Florida complained the judge was among those who got the message and, of course, declared a mistrial. Allison Keys, CBS News.
7:05 at the Bay Area's news station Keys CBS. Sunny day, highs from the 60s at the coast to the upper 90s inland. Good morning, I'm Linda. John, here's what's happening. We won't know for at least a few weeks if there was any conversation between the two pilots who collided mid-air at Watsonville Airport south of Santa Cruz the other day, killing 3 people. KCBS's Jennifer Hodges says communication is crucial because there is no control tower at that airport. It is safe to say this was somewhat of a freak accident.
In my time here, I've been here since July of 2011. We have never had a collision of this nature.
Out of press, Rayvon Williams was asked if a control tower would have made a difference. He didn't address that directly, but he did say
Bringing an air traffic control tower to a municipal airport or any airport requires approval of the FAA, and it requires a commitment or a potential change of airspace.
he did say neither the airspace or volume of traffic supports bringing in a control tower. He says the airport community is reeling from the crash of the 2 Cessnas that left 3 people and a dog dead.
Anytime that there's an accident or there's a concern, whether it's a loss of life, which is the most serious, or someone has a flat tire on the ramp, it's a small community, and there are people here that certainly are grieving.
At the airport in Santa Cruz County, Jennifer Hodges, KCBS.
State health officials are offering more isolation guidance and are moving away from the name monkeypox, choosing to call the disease Mpox. KCBS's Marty Schaefer reports California isolation guidance is more specific than the CDC guidance. Home isolation. California Department of Public Health, Tomas Aragon says state rules are more specific.
If they can cover up the lesions completely, the lesions have stopped increasing for 48 hours, they don't have a fever, they're feeling well, and they completely covered up, then they can resume normal activity.
State guidance also recommends wearing condoms during sex for 12 weeks after infection, and a change in language from state health leaders.
We're trying to avoid using the term monkeypox, and so we've been calling it MPX or Mpox.
WHO variants of the virus, formerly known as the Congo Basin and West African strain, have officially been renamed to avoid further stigma of the disease, known as Clade 1 and Clade 2, respectively. Marty Schaefer, KCBS.
Finds that the university system is misleading the public by lumping together the graduation numbers for blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Two retired Cal State professors say that approach is just wrong.
My colleagues at the university would not want me to say this, but I think they are hiding.
We don't want to hear uncomfortable data.
Carter is a black senior and business major at Cal State Northridge.
A lot of people tell you to get through college, but the hardest part is staying in college.
The university has acknowledged the way it counts the graduation numbers may be flawed. Just ahead on KCBS,
I'm Mike DeWald in Marin County, where a member of the January 6th committee is speaking out. Next in the investigation.
KCBS News Time, 10:08. Traffic and weather together. We're starting in San Jose. Here's Ted Ramey.
Yes, you head north on 880. Once you get past Bascom Avenue, you'll begin to hit the brakes. This is due to an accident, 880 northbound, blocking at least one lane. Injuries are involved, and now we're actually starting to see some slowing on the other side of the freeway, 880 southbound. As people take a look at the activity on the other side of the freeway, so do be aware of that one. 17 southbound out of Campbell, getting into Los Gatos. That is doing its typical fill-in for a Saturday morning as well. Now we're also getting reports of some road work that is slowing things down. 680 south approaching, 280 north approaching 87. So you know what's going on in the area. Do let us know. 415, when that's 415-391 KCBS. Up and down the peninsula, on 101 and getting to San Francisco, you'll start to hit the brakes from 280 as you head north up towards 80 eastbound. Once you get on the Skyway, it's wide open over to the East Bay side. Your trip to the upper deck of the Bay Bridge, 80 west slows from Golden Gate Fields into the Bays. 580 west is heavy from 24. You're slow up the incline, and then it's going to be pretty good until you get past the island, and it slows as you get into the upper deck of the Richmond Center Bell Bridge, slow from the toll plaza out towards mid-span. Your next update, 10:18 on the traffic leader, KCBS.
Gorgeous, sunshiny day, a splash of fog hanging out at the coast right now, a little blob of fog sitting on top of the Golden Gate Bridge, and a lot of that's going to burn off. We are going to have highs, 60s at the coast, 60s, 70s, even some 80s near the bay, and low to upper 90s inland. Cooler tonight through tomorrow. Highs tomorrow only reaching the 80s and some low 90s inland. Traffic and weather together on the 8th on All News 106.9 and AM 740 KCBS News Time 10:10. While much of its most recent work is happening in private, the January 6th committee is continuing to investigate the attack on the Capitol. KCBS's Mike DeWald spoke with one member of the committee to find out what comes next.
Representative Adam Schiff was in the Bay Area for a pair of events to promote his latest book. In Marin County, Schiff says the work of the January 6th committee goes on, with the potential for new public hearings in the future.
Hearings along the lines of what the public has seen, witnesses or new video footage that the public hasn't seen, but also it may be in our central objective, which is expose the facts, but also propose reforms to protect our democracy.
One person the committee has yet to hear from is former Vice President Mike Pence. Pence said recently he would consider testifying if invited.
I was glad to see and hope that that's the case.
Another saga Schiff is watching closely, the FBI investigation into classified documents in possession of former President Trump.
Anyone else in that situation, particularly where the FBI had already asked and apparently been told that they didn't have any and had been giving them all up, they would be under serious investigation right now.
Schiff says he's concerned about the former president's public criticism of the FBI. In County, Mike DeWalt, CBS.
The Berkeley Police Department is offering a $50,000 reward for information having to do with an unsolved murder that occurred 6 years ago. On August 9, 2016, just before midnight, Berkeley police officers responded to the San Pablo Park neighborhood where they found a man, Alex Goodwin Jr., unresponsive. He was transported to a local hospital where he was pronounced dead a few hours later. Detectives believe there are individuals with information about the Goodwin case. Berkeley Police Department is urging anyone with information to KCBS News Time, 10:13. We have sports coming up in less than 2 minutes.
Synanon was the world's first drug rehab. People called it a miracle on the beach. But soon, people were calling it something else. Violent cult. Listen to The Sunshine Place, a creation and presentation of C13 Originals, a Cadence 13 studio. Executive produced with Susan Downey and Robert Downey Jr. Available for free on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Ad paid for by the Centennial Group. Attention Marines, military personnel, families, and contractors who were stationed at Camp Lejeune. Were you present at Camp Lejeune between August 1953 and December of 1987? You may be